This week on the Fifth Trooper podcast.
My dice are bad. That's the problem. And so I loaded up the app.
And then 3 blanks first shot, next shot 3 blanks, next shot 1 hit, 2 blanks. I'm like, geez. But my dice on the flip side were just on fire.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper podcast. My name is Jay Shalansky, and joining me, as always and forever until he dies or I kill him,
Oh, God.
Evan Boris.
Oh, hey, how's it going, guys? That was going good until the end there.
Evan
Got a little
used to
concerning.
come to this voluntarily, but now I chain him in the office, and he stays here until I'm ready for podcast recording.
He tells me to eat the pizza and get ready for the podcast.
I just give you a bucket of fish heads, and I just go, here's your here's your slop, you pig. Now record this podcast.
Honestly, the way I eat normally, I wouldn't be like... I'd be like, wow, fish heads.
Yeah, we built him a nice cage in the attic here at the old Shalansky residence, and that's where he lives once a week. We roll him out Tuesday evenings.
I just got the golem loincloth on as I skitter down to
feed him the fish heads and
go
make
back
him
up to
record
the-
the podcast.
go back up to that sweaty attic. I got it. Yep. Right through
with
the vents.
with the bats and the
Bats and squirrels
Yeah.
fighting for the one scrap of bed left.
yeah, part of the attic, one with the attic.
Fair.
So, hi everybody.
Hello, Jay.
We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff today. First and foremost, hey, Northeast Open. I'm going to harp on this until it actually happens. So I think you got 2 more weeks of listening to my nonsense about Northeast Open. But please sign up. We got a ton of players. It's going to be amazing. We got a ton of prizes. We've got, oh man, all art cards. We've got order tokens. We've got mats. We've got... I don't know, posters. Oh, I have posters now.
What else have we made? Posters, sure.
Kevin Valier from Imperial Discipline made all art command cards.
Oh, those look cool. Yeah.
Oh,
That's fair.
shocker. I haven't told anybody this. FFG sent us full art Stormtrooper, Rebel Troopers plastic cards
Yeah, that's cool. They look really.
as
Those are
giveaways.
Those are hard to find too.
Yeah.
I always couldn't find what event gave those away.
So they gave us
it's cool to have
those. They gave us full art standing orders.
Yep. The fully
Everyone will
armed
get
and
one of those.
operational. Yep.
And then I have a select few of the Stormtrooper full art cards that we'll give away to like first and second, and then sporadically. So we got that. I got stuff on top of stuff. I've got boxes in my pants. I've got boxes in my bed. Listen, you
He's looking
come
to sell.
win or lose. I guarantee you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to have a good time. You're going to meet cool people, and it's going to be laid back. It's a competition, so there's a little competitive aspect, but it's going to be laid back. If you're a new player and you're like, Jay, I haven't been to a tournament before, this makes me nervous, you should come. I am going to make an announcement before we even start saying, hey, if you're a veteran player that you've been doing this for a while, we got a lot of new guys here. Let's bring them up. Let's show them, how this should be done.
Yeah, agreed. It's right, because there's no worlds ticket on the line or
No.
anything like that. So that's not you don't need to be at that level to like try to. There's nothing to win there, right? For like a worlds ticket, but we have awesome prizes. So just showing up and playing is like it's kind of super casual because of that, right?
Yeah, and I think we've kind of struck, not to like pat my own back, but I think we've struck a good chord between wanting to get first and second. The first and second prizes are going to be off the charts.
Yep.
But also the last and second to last prizes are off the charts.
Yeah.
We also have the golden T-47, thanks
Yep.
to Evan's beautiful idea for the jankiest list. We also, newsflash, whoever is in the middle,
place.
the middle, or
middlest place.
the best of the rest, or the best of the worst, however you want to call it, but the dead middle is going to get the Golden Palpatine Award. So you'll be getting an award as well
Perfect.
for probably going 2 or 3 and 3.
What's the top cut? Top 3?
no cut?
Or I mean, like for like
Top
three.
3. Yeah, so it's dwindling returns, though, diminishing returns. So first is like a ton of crap.
Yep.
Second is some crap, and then third is like one crap.
So I think we need a fourth, just like you tried pin. It's
Okay.
the Biggs Award,
I'll-
right?
You know what we'll
Biggs
do? We'll
died
have one
first.
of the kids make it and just draw. You
No, it's
tried,
perfect. It's
and
the
then turn it
you
into
need the
a
Biggs
button.
Award. Like
Yeah.
always, the guy who just didn't make the cut, right? Like that's
So
he just couldn't hang on target.
as you can tell, just by us talking about it, it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a laid back atmosphere. Any units are acceptable. So if Bosk and Sabine come out next week, hell, if they come out the day before the friggin' tournament, I'm allowing them.
Sure. Why
So
not?
any unit, all legal. So please come register. Like, we need you to pre-register. Don't just show. You can't show up on the day. Sorry, man. It's just not going to work. I need you to pre-register. I need you ready to go. It's going to be amazing, and we're going to have a ton of fun.
Agreed.
So that is my spiel about Northeast Open. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is I'm conflicted about this next topic, and I'm a little upset, but I'm gonna try to temper my temper.
Do I need to get the spray bottle out?
Yeah, I need
Get
you
a
to
little
spray
uppity,
hose
just
me
kinda-
down. So FFG came out with an article this week in regards to the Worlds for Saturday this weekend, and I am disappointed in that, and that is the nicest word I can use right now. And here is why. They put out an article. They didn't mention any of the players. Basically, what the article was a sales pitch for their live stream on YouTube and Twitch, and also
The tank.
they have a dumb little paragraph about maybe one of the world contenders will bring a land speeder or a tank, and then linked it to their freaking pages to sell it.
Yeah.
Like,
that was a
come
little
on,
funny.
man, we know what you're doing. So I get it, everybody. They're a business. I get that they don't owe us OP. Here's my argument with this. Then why even have an OP at all? GW hasn't for years. They're
Yep.
just starting to get into it. They were like, nah, dog, we're not doing that. You're on your own.
Yep.
I respect that more than I respect we're gonna phone in OP. Sorry, everybody. I'm a little agitated by this because I feel like it's a disservice to the 8 men who have busted their butts all year to go to Worlds. And maybe I'm premature. Maybe there's going to be another article out. But come on. You put out an article about Worlds and you don't even say their names. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some time between the two of us right now. We're going to name all 8 players and we're going to tell you something about them. Devin just gave me the wide eyes because we literally didn't plan this. This is off the cuff. I've just decided to do this.
Okay.
So let's start with Luke Cook. We know him the best out of all 8.
Okay. Super chill dude. Super good at the game. Snazzy haircut.
We can literally say that about everybody playing the top 8. Super good at the game.
Okay. All right. Let me what's a Luke Cook fact?
Luke Cook fact.
Jeez.
That kid just graduated college this year.
Oh yeah, and we got to figure out. So speaking of Luke Cook,
Yeah.
we need to have a exhibition match at the event to get that special Vader.
That special Vader. That's right.
That our buddy got. So one of my buddies went to Star Wars Celebration as a vendor, and he got one of the new Vaders, right?
Yeah,
the special pose Vaders.
The Star Wars Celebration Vader.
Yep. Unfortunately, he reached out to Chris Cook and myself at the same time. He just
Right.
put some feelers out, said, "Hey,
Yep.
would you want one?" I said yes. Chris Cook said yes to get it for his son, Luke. And he's like, "Well, which one of you wants it?" I'm like, "Yeah, just give it to Chris."
Right.
Like I don't care. It's fine. And then the guy who had it is like, "Well, how about you play for it?" And I'm like, "Okay." And so since Chris is giving it to Luke and I were talking about doing an exhibition match. Right.
I like it.
Just we got to hang out some ideas, but I think it'd be fun if like the community created our lists
Yeah.
somehow, just something. So it's just something real weird, like
I like it.
like double officer, quad bike. I don't know. We'll work out the details on that. But
Yeah.
so him and I have a slight grudge match over a particular Vader.
I like it. So I've been singing Luke's praises from the beginning. I think he is one of the best snowtrooper players
Oh, for sure,
that I know of.
for sure.
He is, like Evan said, he's good at the game, of course, but his claim to fame in my eyes is one of the best snowtrooper players I've ever seen play. And I've been telling everybody how good he was since we started the podcast and leading into Adepticon, like he was going to be the one to watch out for because I knew he was going to go for it.
Yeah, dude, for real.
So that's Luke Cook.
All right, next.
Let's move to Davis Kingsley.
Oh, geez,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you don't know who Kingsley is, he's considered arguably one of the best players in the game.
Super good at the game.
Actually, just a little note. So Invader League just happened. If you don't know yet, Kyle Dornboss from Notorious Scoundrels won the whole thing. He beat Kingsley. He beat Luke Cook.
Okay.
So a little Worlds preview maybe there for you. But until that loss, Kingsley had not lost a single large tournament he had been part of. He had been undefeated in all of them until that. He is highly intelligent. He's another super chill guy. He's really good at Legend of the Five Rings. I think he's got a championship in that. I think he's got a championship in a couple other FFG games.
Just one of those guys that can see the Matrix. Huh?
He could just see into the code. So that's Kingsley.
Also wears a fantastic scarf.
Yeah, he always wears fantastic scarves. Yeah. So that's Kingsley. Next in line is Eric Reha, or you might know him as R1H4. He also, if you have seen any of Endless Streams or David from Notorious Scoundrels, he is the other voice, Jazz Flute. He is hilarious. He is one of the funniest guys I know in the community.
Also super good at the game.
Super good at the game, as Evan will tell you. And he is just an amazing all-around person. Very kind, very hilarious, and a cool dude. So right now, you have Luke, Empire, Kingsley, Rebels, and R1 is going to be Empire, I'm pretty sure. So the next person is Daniel Lupo. Lupo, he is the guy that's running Sabs. So for all of you out there who say, you can't play this game without running snipers, I would use Daniel Lupo as my Exhibit A.
Yeah, for real. That was a really interesting... actually, the first game, it's funny you should say that. One of the gentlemen who's popular, you might have seen his drawings in our community. Let me get his name. I forgot his last. Bob Swam. Yeah. He waved me over, and he's like, "Hey, he's playing triple slabs and Luke," and I'm like, "Oh, that's a crazy list. Like, he won't get far." And then I see this guy at the top tables on stream. I'm like, I've made a poor judgment choice on this. I need to think about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, Lupo looked into the tornado and spit at it and said, "Not today, tornado. I'm going to do what I want."
Yeah, it was just cool because no one had thought about running trips like that, right? That was really cool.
Yeah, and so he took the meta, spun it on its head, and said, "I'm going to play what I want. I'm going to become really good at it, and I'm going to come spank everybody with it."
Yes, you're correct. So thinking of that, going to put a pin in this just for a second. We need to announce the winner of that prize we had.
Yeah, I'll do that by the end of the cast. We'll do that.
No, I just because we forgot. That was my fault.
So okay, so that's Daniel Lupo, Rebels player. So we got Luke Cook.
Yep.
Kingsley.
Yep.
R1H4, Lupo. So that's half. We're through half. The next one we can talk about is LJ Pena.
Yeah.
He is legitimately the backbone of this community.
Oh, for real.
Anything that this community does, anything, as Mufasa would say, anything the light touches, LJ Pena has touched as well. He's put on the LegionTournamentCircuit.com. He organized that whole development of that website. He got all of us together to help build that site and put that together. He's in charge of LVO. Everything we're doing for Northeast Open is because of LJ. We're taking out of his playbooks. We're borrowing, and we're trying to enhance where we can, where it makes sense. But I mean, really, he's done enough enhancing himself that all the major tournaments last year, including Invader League, is all because of LJ and Brendan. But I'm talking about LJ right now.
Also, super good at the game.
Also,
actually, I just got in his Discord tokens, and they look fantastic.
And it's funny because a lot of people, in Discord have been we've all speculated for a while that we thought LJ was sneaky good because he was never playing because he was organizing all these events, and we were all like, he's got to be good. And I remember the first time I played him, it was right before the team league, and I ended up playing him in the team league too. But he just wiped the floor with me, and I was like, oh man, I was not expecting that,
Uh-oh.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
and so super amazing guy for the community, and I would say a lot of what this community is today, I think you have LJ to thank for.
Oh, that's very much so. Like after I didn't realize he was like the sole guy keeping LVO together for Legion back
Yep.
the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and then he helped out a ton for Adepticon too, right? Like it was, if it wasn't for him and a few others, names you've heard,
Yeah.
a lot of this wouldn't have happened like it has,
Yep.
you know.
So that's he'll be playing Empire. So I'll go to a Rebel. So Gordon Chase, the man, the myth, the legend, coming out of North Virginia, number 23, Gordon Chase.
Super good at the game.
Gordon is super good at the game. He is a beautiful man, and I don't mean that even though he does look beautiful, he is also a very nice person. He's one of the nicest guys I know. Love Gordon. He's an amazing player. Really got to meet Gordon at PAX Unplugged. Actually, coming up, our next person I got to meet at PAX Unplugged as well. And I've just been a fan of Gordon's ever since I met him at PAX. Super awesome guy. Gordon and I have become friends since. We talk a lot of Legion, but Gordon is also a really good Keyforge player. And he also, I believe he got like top something in that Star Wars card game that FFG has, Destiny. There you go.
Okay.
Like I care.
You're doing like sword swing motions with the arm. Like I don't.
Card
not
shuffling. So Gordon, highly intelligent, very good player, amazing dude, and he's going to be playing Rebels.
Yep, and I met him at Nova the first year. He was my first opponent actually, and I remember he sat down. I was feeling pretty confident with my ATST and all my other stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it's the first time I've played Imperials." I'm like, "Free lunch, okay." And then he wipes the floor with me, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, sir. I won't." I try not to make eye contact as I'm picking up my stuff. I'm like, "Sir, I'm sorry." No, and it's he one of the few guys who came up to me and said like, you could win. Like at Adepticon, he had a lot of like faith in me, which that was really cool. Like that felt pretty good.
And I'll say this for Gordon because I don't think he would ever say it for himself, and I think that the fact that he's in Worlds is kind of solidifying it, but he is really good, and he completely deserves his World invite. So that's Gordon, and he, like I said, he is running Rebels. So then next up is Matt Kish. Matt is a late top 8 because of things we don't need to talk about again, but he is playing Empire. I first met Matt at PAX Unplugged. He played that crazy Veers Vader Boba list at PAX Unplugged and just spanked everybody with it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, like he was really, really good. Like, and I remember back then at PAX I had played that dumb double T-47 Han list, and I thought I was going to have the jankiest list around, and this dude rolls up with Veers Boba Vader and just starts spanking people left and right. Matt's a super nice guy as well. I mean, all these guys are nice. And, I think Matt is just really good at seeing, once again, similar to Lopo, like seeing outside the meta and taking, not only having the balls to run it at a tournament, but like running it the right way and running it well.
Yep. No, that makes sense.
And so I don't know what he's going to bring, but I would guess there's going to be some flair to it.
Also super good at the game.
Also super good at the game. And last but certainly not least, our buddy, our pal, our partner in crime and podcasting, Kyle Dornbos. Even though Kyle just spanked everybody, and he's too humble to say this, but he legitimately spanked everybody in Invader League. I always thought that once Kyle started playing Empire, we were all in trouble because, dear Lord, is he so good at the game. And so he picked up a Veers Bosk list and just started wiping the floor with people in Invader League.
Turns out Bosk is pretty good.
Yeah. And it turns out Kyle with Empire is
also pretty good.
It's like putting God mode on your video games. And so, man, he unfortunately, I don't know, I believe he's playing Rebels because Bosk won't be out. But like, man, he's a talented guy. If you haven't been to his site, if you don't know who I'm talking about, he's on the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. He runs Never Tell Me the Odds. He's built one of the best mathematical calculation tools. Originally built it and has had it spruced up by some people, but it's one of the best mathematical tools you can get for understanding the odds of your dice with aim, without aim, with dodge,
Yeah, it's cool.
defense. You can go to his website, swlegionodds.com, and you can download it. He made it available for free.
Yeah.
It's a spreadsheet that you can go download, calculate all these numbers. He just gave that to you guys, the community, for free,
That's
so
awesome.
that you had a better view of your list.
Did I say super good at the game yet?
Super good at the game.
Super good at the game.
Ridiculous at the game. So that's Kyle. And I wanted to take this time on my podcast and for you listening, I want you to share this with people too. That's your top 8. They've been working so hard to get here.
A lot of traveling, man.
A lot of money spent,
Yeah.
a lot of traveling, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of working hard and studying and playing. And they're not getting the due that they deserve. Granted, they're in Worlds, so maybe some of you are saying that's due enough. I don't think so. I think they should be celebrated for not only being talented Legion players, but also being pillars of this community and really moving this community forward and all the things that you're going to be enjoying in the next few years to come. A lot of these guys are. That's why, because of these guys. If they're the what's that saying that they know you're. Oh shoot! They know you're pioneers by the arrows in your back, right?
Yeah.
So
okay.
like,
Yeah, that's good.
they're the ones that have paved this road for us, and so I think we all need to take a moment and just give them a round of applause and just thank them for being amazing. And that's my shtick on that.
No, agreed. I remember when so Jay will send me a message like, "Yo, I'm mad," and I'm like, "All right, what's going on?" And he said the article, and then I read it, and I'm so used to just FFG articles. I'm like, "What?" I was like, "It's because what's wrong? I don't get it." Just like an article is like, "Well, they didn't mention any of those people," and I'm like, normally in like X-Wing, like the top there's like 64 people or something, right? This is only 8 people, right? So this not even like list them out or like break them into Imperial and Rebel and like talk like what there's
Or at right, okay,
just something, right?
So
Like,
you
just
could say
something.
you could argue, and maybe they're going to do this. Is that on their stream over the weekend? They're going to interview them or talk to them. That's great, okay, but at a minimum, just mention who they are. If you didn't listen to a podcast, if you didn't know what was going on, you don't know who the top 8 are.
No, you sure don't.
They're not named in any capacity. It's infuriating because they're the top 8.
Yeah.
We're gonna say,
Oh, no.
I
Oh,
dropped
gosh.
the miniature.
Oh,
We're gonna,
no.
quote unquote in the world, because I don't know that, that technically we really had a world, a
We
fair
had a
representation
nationals.
of
We more or
the
less
world.
had a nationals. That's the U.S. championship, right?
But you guys get the idea. They're the top players around, and we're sitting here knowing who they are, but maybe some of you didn't. And so I wanted to take this time to celebrate them and congratulate them and tell them that we are all rooting for each and every one of them, even though only one of them can win. But I'm rooting for all of them, and whoever comes out on top, I'm going to be just as happy for them as I would be anyone else. So.
No, yeah, like I really don't have a right. Like anybody could win, and I'm cool with it. Like there's not like
Right.
a guy I'm like, oh, curse you.
Yeah, well, I think were you going to say I don't have a horse in the race?
Yeah,
Because I was going to say they're all horses in my
Yeah,
race.
yeah.
Like each one of them, I want.
I had to
win.
rephrase that before I spit that out. But,
I think I bet on every one of them.
yeah, it's like in I used to play Harvest Moon 64, and I'd have so much money I just bet max on every horse, and so
Yeah.
anybody who won, I was like, yeah. So this is my that's my best way to equate.
Yeah,
that is
they're all
max
amazing
bet.
people, and Brendan Franz will be there as their marshal. Another man who lives and dies for this community, has marshaled all our major events, has helped TO 2 or 4. I don't even know at this point. He's helping us TO and marshal Northeast Open. Like he is just as much a pillar of the community as the players are, and
Yeah.
he's going out and he's going to marshal this. And I'm just very proud of all of these guys. I think they all represent the community with pride, and I think I'm just so happy for all of them.
No, they're all like faces. You know, like it's cool to meet these people. You know, Jay and I have been lucky enough to get to travel and to go to a lot of these events, and like we were there when like the top 8 were picked out, which could have just been Worlds, I guess, at that point. You know, right? Like
They could have just gone one more day.
yeah,
and it
right.
could
And
have
just
been
call it Worlds and been done with it.
which is what they're going to do this year.
Yeah. But no, it was cool to meet them all. I'm really glad to see Gordon because he was the first guy who I played in like the first big tournament I ever did for Legion was Nova, like legitimately big tournament, not like store tournament. And he was my first opponent, and he gave me a good shellacking. But he was such a cool guy, and to get to see that he progressed to that point where he's top 8, right? Like that's awesome. So I'm really. It's cool that we got a local boy, Luke going up there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so I don't know. I'm so happy for Luke too, and I think we were lucky enough that we have a group up here on the Syracuse to Buffalo corridor, and I hear there's a bunch in Albany too, but they're a little bit more of a drive the other way, but. We're just so lucky that we have a number of players that are so good.
Yeah.
I mean, even Chris Cook made it into high command internationals.
Yeah.
So, we have a number of high level players in this area, and I'm just so happy for that and grateful for that. And I'm also happy that Luke proved me right. After, they're singing it, telling everybody how great I was. And I remember
blowing
some
the
of
trumpets. Yeah.
I remember some of the guys were telling me to shut up already. They're like, all right, we get it. Luke Cook is
fine,
good.
right,
And I'm like, no,
fine,
you don't
okay,
understand.
geez.
He's really good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And because I think there's some people, Gordon is one of them. Matt is one of them. Lupo is another. Like, I think there's a number of guys, at least 4 of the top 8 that maybe aren't quote unquote household names in the Legion community.
Oh, sure.
That should be, because they're uber talented and
Right, like
super
it's-
humble and just laid back about it.
So what'll make them a household name in the community, like if this is for any other miniatures game I played, is consistency of top cuts. So if we see the same 8-ish people next year, right, at the top 8 of that, then that's when it becomes like, hey, even like runners up in X-Wing are people know their names, right? Like, oh, he made it to Worlds. Right. Like, so again, like every time I get frustrated with Legion about different things, I have to think like it hasn't even been just been over a year, right? Like it's
and to that point, like I know a lot of people are going to push back on my FFG shellacking, but here's my argument to this. Legion has only been around a year, but they've been doing amazing prize support and Worlds for X-Wing for how many years now?
Yeah. A few
sure, and you could have some arguments that X-Wing's probably not as great either, but the problem I see here is that we need to hold them accountable. If you're going to present something and say, okay, we're going to have an OP department, we're taking organized play seriously, we're putting forth quote unquote effort to make organized play, well, then we need to hold them accountable to that.
Yeah,
we need to say, okay, you're doing this. Here's what needs to happen to make this right.
So, we complained about, rightly so, I think, maybe we're a little pretentious about this, but the prize kit for Legion kind of stunk for the rally points, right? It was like piece of glass for the trophy.
That was nice.
That was cool. That was actually the best
really
part.
Nice. I'll give them that.
The weird alt art cards. So one was real good.
They didn't make any sense.
Yeah, the rebel. My problem with that card was it's not representative of the model. Right, like that's not the rebel officer. So it's So okay, that's one. The bike card was weird. Just didn't fit the art style of everything else.
Okay, so if somebody had wrote to us and said, "Hey, dude, it was an Empire Rebel switch," because we had said, "What? Why did I get a Rebel bag with Empire tokens?"
Yeah.
So okay, fine, cool, that's great. Here's my problem with that, is that the top 2 card. It's a plastic double-side card, similar to the Stormtrooper, Rebel Trooper ones we have.
The spot gloss, yeah.
Similar to the Veers Leia ones, okay? Dude, it has a speeder bike and a Rebel officer. They don't even make sense together. They're not even the same unit type.
It's so weird.
It's ridiculous.
I really feel like they were throwing... And you got, like, the acrylic was, like, the unit marker for numbers, but they only gave you one of each. So you can't like
Right, that
put
none
one
of
and
us
one,
use?
2 and 2, 3
Yeah,
and 3.
because we all paint our bases now.
So that was it's so that kit's like expensive, right? And then you look at the X-wing kit.
Yeah.
I get X-wing's been out forever. That's fine, but you learn these two, like the Legion and the X-wing groups at FFG shouldn't be separate entities, right? They work same company,
Yeah.
same guys working on the stuff for the most part. So the X-wing kit was like top 16 got dice, top 8 got templates. The alt cards look cool. Like it was like trophy looked great. Like it was out of the park, right? The trials I travel for those. I've seen some like I want another shot at to get into the worlds for Rally Point. But I'm looking at these ones where if it was for X-wing, I would go 'cause that prize kit. Even if I don't win, I get cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't win at one of these Rally Points. Like the prizes even for like getting top 8 don't really thrill me.
So, okay. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, Evan and Jade, they didn't have these last year. This is their first time doing
Sure.
it. Okay. It's not a good enough excuse. I'm sorry. You've been doing this for X-Wing for a while now. You know what a good prize kit is. It's clear you know what a good prize kit is. It's just not a good enough excuse. I think that, and I'll argue this again, and we brought this up last podcast, but just briefly, is that I think having the RPQ structure the way it is into a world / nationals is ludicrous and just ridiculous, because here's why. No offense to anyone, but if you're in Podunk, New York, and your store has an RPQ, because all you have to do is have Legion on your shelves and
Yep.
pay $400, $500, which don't even get me started on that. That's a ridiculous dollar amount.
Yeah.
Because you can't and I think they position it like, oh, you'll get 16 to 24 players for this. That's what you should get.
Yeah.
The average is 10.
Yeah.
There's no way that's going to happen. Those stores, unless they charge $40 a person at $10, are never going to make their money back on that kit.
Correct.
So I would guarantee some of those stores next year are going to be like, yep, that wasn't worth it. We're not doing that again.
Yep.
We lost money.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, besides that, the RPQ structure to go straight from Podunk, New York, local store, all the way to Chicago National / Worlds, I think is the opposite of what they did last year. And what I mean by that is there were gatekeeping devices to keep subpar players from Worlds. So
Okay.
if you went to Nova, Gen Con, LVO, and then Chicago, there was these huge events where only a certain number of people got into high command, where you played the best of the best. So if you won at one of those events, there was a solid chance you were really good at the game, and you were tested on the way through. And then at high command, you were tested again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The way they're doing it now, and I understand this is how X-Wing does it a little bit too, right? Like anybody can go to Worlds, basically, right? Is that you're going straight from your regional, your local, not even regional, your local, your shop down the road to National Worlds. And I think that the culture shock of that, and here's why I'm saying this. I feel bad for the local player who's like, I won. I have an RPQ invite. I'm going to Worlds. I'm good enough for Worlds. Then they show up at Worlds and get spanked. Is that going to be a good experience for them?
That's fair. I was trying to think of a counter argument there, because as a guy who I've had the luxury to travel, but a lot of that's catching up to me now. So I have to like pick my.
Yeah.
Last year I just went to anything I wanted to. This year I have to be like, well, that's I can't go to this. Love maybe Gen Con, definitely Nova, but then there's PAX. I missed Origins this week, right? Like I used to be able to go all that, now I can't, and so to be able to get a chance to go to Worlds when I might not. But on the same side, right? Like, we had like 10 people at that RPQ.
Yeah.
And they're not. I'm not saying they're bad players, but like winning there is different than winning at like Nova, right? Like but you still get the same prize out of it, right? The same like ticket to
Exactly.
So like
That's exactly right.
the guy who
LVO is 64 people right now.
Yeah.
Maybe 128 because the wait list is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, and they're only giving out 2.
Yeah, and then like the guy who wins that, the top 2 who win that are the same. They've gone through the same gauntlet as the guy who They just had 10, right?
It's like no.
It's just not
and
fair
listen,
for the guy
I'm an
who goes-
RPQ winner, so I'm downing myself here, everybody. But it's like the guy who started at the corporation in the mailroom and worked his way up to vice president versus the nephew of the CEO who got a vice president job.
yeah,
Like
okay.
your preparation for that job is not even close to the same.
No, I get that. Yeah, it's weird because I don't know how I feel about it. On one hand, I like the fact that I might not have to travel across the gosh darn country to get to one of these things, and only to maybe lose and then come back and gripe about it on a podcast. So I get the chance locally, but even that, so we had one, and then now I've got to go to Canada. Right, if I want a many again, now it's all in Canada. So I missed my shot, right? And so now I gotta hope maybe Nova works out for me.
Well, you couldn't make it through this brick house.
I'll just we'll just do the old Jay, please. I just want to be hanging out with the guy. But no, it's right. It's weird, and I don't. So how many people are they supposed to have for Worlds this year?
128.
Okay, that's a lot.
Well, maybe more. We don't even know at this point.
That it seems like going from 8 to 128 is a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
And I know X-Wing Worlds, they're doing what they did with Legion. So X-Wing Worlds was a cluster of last year, a year ago, because it was random if you got in. So the guys who won the prestigious tournaments got tickets. So it's 20 people tops, but it was 64. So the rest you had to go on to a Google application and fill it out, and they randomly picked you. So people made bots to fill it out, so they got in. That was a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
It was. I put in twice, and then so after they cleared out the bots the second time, it was a month out before the Worlds, and they're like, "Hey, you can enter again, and you might go." But I'm like, I can't make travel. I got to take time off from work. I gotta get a plane. I can't do that within a month. That's just not. You get your plane tickets way ahead of time, so they're cheap, right? It's not like hotels where sometimes they get cheaper the closer you get because they just need to fill the room.
Yeah.
So they kind of screwed a lot of people that year because they just couldn't go. Put it in again. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe we'll luckily pick you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I'm hoping on a guess. Don't know when I'll hear. I've got to make plans for a maybe. Right. So that was 2 years ago, or maybe last year. I remember one of the years. So now this year for X-Wing, they're doing what Legion did, where it's there's going to be a Worlds last chance qualifier, same thing. But there's also way more X-Wing trials than there are Legion rally points, and more people show up to them. So for example, we had maybe 10 for that Legion event, where a comparable X-Wing one would be 32 to 64.
Yeah.
So you're going through a lot more guys to get there because it's
right, and you could
also the prize kit was better.
Yeah, right.
So even if you just went to get the prizes, that was just better.
Well, an X-Wing. I mean, listen. If we're being fair, X-Wing's an easier game to get into.
Oh, sure.
It's just you just buy some ships and you get an app and you're good to go. And,
Yeah,
it comes with everything you need. You don't have to paint, and you just you walk yourself into an X-Wing tournament.
No, yep, that's
so
fair.
I get it. I'm just I think for
I
some of the
understand your
things
points.
that they do right, I just am disappointed in how the expectation and the ownness on driving competitive play and tournament play and any level is on the community, but they want to make these dictate these terms and stuff. And I think you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and write all these rules for for the community to follow, but then not fully support what you're trying to do.
I know FFG is in the middle of being reorganized by Asmodee. I think I don't know.
I'm sure.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure there's a lot of excuses.
Yeah, right. I'm not by no means am I straw manning or defending them at this point, because I'm also in the same boat of, man, I'm really upset with how this is going. But it just stinks because man, I'm moving this mic all over the place. Sorry. Jay's giving me the eye. I'm holding this mic. I get passionate about this mic. But in that meantime, we all kind of suffer while they try to figure this out. I mean, when X-Wing released their first wave of the new OPs coming, it was well, you got to make a hyperspace jump to this, then you got to do a hyperspace trial, and then there's an extent like nobody knew what was even going on, and then a new guy comes, gets rid of all that, and goes like store championship, regional championship, like reorganizes it again. And you and I keep our heads to the ground on this pretty well, but you couldn't tell me
Yeah.
what I had to do to get anywhere. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like they keep changing it. So
Yeah. And so let's spin this in a positive way. So what's the solution?
oh no, I only get to complain. I don't
Okay.
get to
So-
give answer. No,
So
all
I think
right.
the solution is, and I think we're trying to do this with Northeast Open, is I think the solution becomes we create fan built events that aren't tied to FFG besides it being the game we're playing. And you just built a fan event, even at your local store. Put on a local tournament. Like ask your store, hey,
Yeah.
can we have Saturday? I will be like see if people can pitch in prize support. Ask there's somebody local that makes something, I'm sure, to
Or
you.
even just store credit, like turn
Right.
that money into store credit.
Yeah,
or something,
and
right?
like figure something out and be like coordinate it yourself, because what is the goal now, right? And I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, like I would be thinking, is well, I'm not going to do FFG's work for them. I think that they should be doing it. Well, I would argue that they're never going to do it, not to our liking, anyways. And maybe we're asking too much. So what's the answer? The answer is run them ourselves. Like do it yourself, make it fair, make it fun,
yeah,
make it interesting, and that's how we can move forward until one day, if FFG figures it out and it's done well, then it's up to us to build the community and this is something we've been talking about for
yeah,
months and months and months about, like we had Jim Martin on about building terrain at your local store and helping support the community that way. Like the only way that this is going to be fixed is if we fix it ourselves and if we get more people in and if we support our local communities. It's all about us and it's all about us supporting our communities.
no, I agree. So I was joking about the I only get to complain thing. It's but it's true because I
That's
don't
all that he does. No, I'm just kidding.
right. Like that's old Evan. The best way to do it is to do it yourself. It's rough though. So, trying to hold a community on your back, trying to get people to show up, because just having bodies places is important, right? So just having like right now our local area is X-Wing's dying, and we just need to get bodies into the store to show that we deserve these kits, I guess. That's a lot of work for someone to do, and man, I've got a job too, right? This is my like fun time when I get to go. This is how I relax. So to turn this into a job again kind of sucks, but unfortunately, if the store doesn't try to push it themselves, it's up to you to create that community, and that's how you got to do it. And like, man, I just want to be the guy who gets to go to a tournament and then not have to be one who's like setting it up or running it or anything. That'd be dope. I'd love to do that.
I
but-
think it's a pass it on type of scenario. I think if we as our local community leader, if we build it up now and we get it running and we get it, well, there's going to be a moment where we can step back and just enjoy.
Yeah, I actually, the problem is to get a good X-Wing event, you have to travel about an hour in any direction from our place. So I went to Iron Buffalo this past weekend. It's a great coffee shop / game store. And man, the guy there who showed up, man, I forgot his name. But he was
Perfect.
there. I know, right? Like, I don't remember anybody. No, okay, whatever.
Fantastic.
But he was there with the computer. He had it all ready to go.
Yep.
Iron Buffalo has a laptop specifically for this kind of thing, so they gave him the laptop. And we if he played, there's an odd number, so he's like, "Yeah, man, I'll just TO. I don't need to play, just to keep it so it's not a buy." And I'm like, "That's super like falling on the sword, right?" Like he's spending his Saturday to just kind of hang out and talk to us and watch us play, but not actually get to and do the thing he came to do. So that's like kudos to that guy. I'll get his name for next time. So I'd like to give him a shout that was super righteous to do that for a group. But that's the kind of thing like sometimes you just got to do to make the community go.
Yeah.
And it's again like I it was nice because I got to be that guy. I know I just said I never get to, but I got to be that guy for a change to go and just.
You're so fickle.
I know,
never
right?
know what you're talking about.
I know, right? But I got to be that guy just to go and enjoy the tournament and
Yeah.
not have to worry about
Yeah.
who's running it. Oh, it's me. Who's keeping score of things? Me. Like he just had it all on his computer. He's like, just tell me what's going on. And he knew the rules, and it was great. Like, it was a great event. Went quick, got great coffee at the Iron Buffalo as well. But it was a super fun event. It was quick, 4 rounds over. But that's where that area is for X-Wing. We just need that to happen for Legion. To get that to that point where you can just go and there's like 4 or 5 people who are willing to run it, not just one guy every time. So that guy can actually get to enjoy it too, right? Because it's at the end of the day, this is about pushing plastic soldiers around a toy table, right? Like it's a game about toys that they throw some rules on so we get a game out of it. But it's supposed to be relaxing and chill, not like stressful and man, where are these people? I need these people to show up so I can get price kits in so I can actually do all this stuff. I'm rambling a little bit, but it's just you get what you put in, I guess is my long thing. So if you put in nothing, expect nothing.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna spin this positive. I think that there's so much promise for this community in this game that we need to make sure that we keep the torch going as a community and that we carry it forward, and that either FFG can catch up and they can support the community like they should be, or not even should be is a strong word, like they're showing that they quote unquote are wanting to, or they don't and we just pick up the slack. And like, for instance, like Star City Games, right, for Magic, they do their own tournaments. They do their own thing. It's amazing, and maybe that's the direction we need to go in.
Possibly. That's not, I can't think of another game company besides FFG that actually does like monthly prize kits. Besides GW with Underworlds, Shadespire, Night Vault, whatever you want to call it. That's the closest one they do quarterly kits, but I can't think of one that does monthly. So when they started doing that, I'm like, wow, this is great. And maybe I'm expecting too much, but the standard has been set how they do stuff at this point. So when they go below that, it's very noticeable, right?
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you that listen to us and Notorious Scoundrels, I'm going to move on to something pretty happy and go lucky here. And I'm going to get off my soapbox. Hold on.
Yeah. Geez, it's pretty big. Watch
okay.
out.
So let's talk contrast paints.
This is all you.
The reason I brought up Scoundrels was I did maybe 15 minutes on Scoundrels yesterday about them, and I said I would bring it up on our podcast, talk about them again. But for those of you that just started listening, I got the contrast paints, basically all of them. I got the day they came out for us was Saturday. I really like them. I know that they've been kind of so here's what I'd say, and this is what I said on Scoundrels. For the guys that have been posting on the Facebook page, and they're like, I did 6 guys in 40 minutes. You're doing it wrong. Sorry. You're going too fast, man. Like, for those of you that are looking at that going, I can do 6 guys in 40 minutes. No, you can't. It's going to take you about an hour and a half to 2 hours for 6 guys. And that's if you don't care what they look like afterwards. So it speeds up the time, because normally those 6 guys would take you days, right? Because all contrast paints are doing, they're not making you a better painter. They're making you a faster painter.
Yeah.
So they're taking 3 steps, combining them into one. They're taking base, wash, and highlight, and combining it into one step and just one paint. Okay. So that's basically what's happening here. Now, if you have 0 paint skills, okay, and you think that contrast paints are going to save your life and that they're going to make you the Michelangelo of Legion painting, you're wrong.
What?
You still have to have some skill sets with painting. You still have to put some reps in with the painting with the contrast.
Rats.
Yeah. But they're going to help you. So if you have experience painting before, and here's the perfect scenario. Evan is actually the perfect scenario. Evan's not great at painting.
I am not.
But he's okay enough that he's done it before and he knows how to at least use a brush and put the paint on, okay?
Sure do.
So what this helps you do is you're like, I need to get my minis table ready. I want them to look halfway decent. Instead of using one base color, like for instance with Rebels, green for the pants.
Yeah.
You would use the green contrast paint, and now it gives you basically 3 colors on those pants.
Yeah, okay.
So it's giving you the depths, it's giving you the mids, and it's giving you the highs. And they're the contrast paints are finicky to work with. They're this weird jazzy mix between washes and regular paints.
Yeah.
They feel weird going on because they act like a wash, but they stay like a paint. So you'll get a lot of, like, if you're not focused, you'll get a lot of like highs where you'll get pooling.
Yeah.
And so you need to really focus on that. Not all the paints are good. Some of them are really good. The greens, the camo green. Let me see. I have them right here. So like Creed camo, it's a green camo, really good paint. Militarum green, it's like another green camo. I've been painting Rebels. Really, really good. Snakebite leather for all your leather, like gun holsters.
All your leather needs.
Yeah, your boots, etc. The snakebite leather, really good. Love that paint.
Give me a bad one here.
The blues.
Oh no.
Pretty much any of the blues.
Oh no.
I hate them all.
Oh no.
They're all real bad.
Even the ultramarine blue.
Yeah.
No, my Cobra soldiers.
So you got to be careful with them because the pigments are really odd. Some of them are really thin, and so they go on smooth, and you're like, okay, cool. I could put another layer on if I wanted to darken it up. Like, okay. And then the blues are like, kablam, dark, and you're like, whoa, 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 stop the clock.
Oh no.
Yeah, we need to slow this down.
But my ATST.
Yeah. And so like so those are hard to use. A lot of people have posted that they used them on stormtroopers. I wouldn't. So here's the problem. They struggle with large flat surfaces. Okay, so like, and they only have this white that's actually like a gray that like it'll go into the gray, but it's just not right. It just doesn't look right.
Okay.
So if you want some low shadows, like some low gray shadows on your stormtroopers, sure, use it to get it out there. But it's not great for stormtroopers, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, I have zero experience with them other than everybody on the internet was going nuts for them for a while.
Right.
Or still is, sold out immediately, this and that.
Okay. So I would say this. I like them a lot. I like them so much that I'm using Flyboys. If anybody has read my article recently about switching factions for a while to become a better Legion player, I'm flying a Flyboys list. I had most of it painted besides 2 Z6 squads, and I was like, oh yeah, contrasting these last two, and I'm gonna be done, boy. And then I contrasted one, and I was like, oh god, my other ones don't look as good now. And so I've literally started from scratch.
Oh god.
So I had duplicates of most everything, and so I'm just I took them all out. I put them all together. I primed them. I will say this. I started this adventure on Sunday. It's Tuesday evening now as we're recording
And you
this.
got a lot of them done.
Yeah. And I've got 4 Z6, 4.5 Z6 done with officers in 2 of them, a medbot in the other one, a sniper done. So I got 2 more sniper teams, Luke, Han, and the rest of the C6 squad, and I'm done. Like, I'm literally going to have that done this week. An 800-point army done in less than a week.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Because most of the Rebel stuff I played for Adepticon was painted, and some of my Empire stuff is at least blued to be the Cobra stuff I want to do with it. But for this, we have a tournament this weekend, and I was just going to bring something goofy like 2 Wookiee groups, 2 1.4 I don't know, just something because there's nothing in it. I'm just here to have fun. So, but yeah, I cannot paint all that. Like I'm going to reuse stuff I have painted, but I do not have the time frame to actually paint like all that stuff to get ready for this particular weekend. So contrast would have been great just to even get the Wookiees done.
Yeah.
Brown Wookiees. You're just breaking your stuff. You gotta.
So for those of you that aren't in the room,
you could just stop.
You're
making.
I got the miniatures up on my desk, and I keep picking them up and looking. I'm setting them down, and then they fall off
picking
my
up
desk.
with his feet like an animal. Yeah, knocking paper over, man. Like you're a noise machine.
So I like the contrast paints. I think they're good. I think they have a particular audience. I think the audience is if you have some skills with painting and you're just looking to get minis done fast, they're not going to be perfect, but they can be fast and they'll be done and you'll have multiple colors. These are perfect for you. I think for Legion, if you're a Rebel player, that's where the hotness is at with these, is on Rebels. I don't think you're going to benefit from them as much with Imperials. Sure, like Veers, Krennic, maybe the snipers,
Yeah.
maybe the bikes. I didn't even think about that. Bikes, maybe that would be easy to paint.
Yeah.
But you're going to pick and choose your areas. I think if you're a more advanced painter, I mean, if you're a really advanced painter, you're not going to use these at all. If you're like in the middle ground, I think you're going to pick and choose the times that you use these and then go back to your traditional, whatever you were doing on the other parts.
If I was really into it, like really into the hobby part of it, painting, I'd probably use these for an army. I want to try this out and I got a tournament I want to be painted. So I do it for that. But the stuff I really cared about, I'd probably do it the traditional way. Though you see some of those pictures come up like, this demon diamond super ultra painter painted this with just contrast paints, and you're like, oh crap. But you also have to remember that guy is like, it's what he does, right?
And I would say those guys took hours on one mini. I'm telling you, you could do a Z6 squad in under 2 hours easily.
That's cool. That's because that was my problem when I was getting ready for Adepticon, is like, I'd say I'm going to do one squad a night. And man, was I just done with it by the end of the night. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just get it painted. I understand when people find the joy in painting. It's just not my thing of the game. I like playing it more than I like hobbying it. So contrast would be for me. I'm like, they just need to be 3 colors and they need to look enough when someone looks at them at a table, like, oh, cool. Right? Like, that was the only time I ever felt like painting these really paid off was when, people come by and I was playing at Adepticon. There's like, onlookers come by like, oh, did you paint these? I'm like, sure did. Right? Like, I get that moment of like, yep, those are my guys. So that was cool. The problem where I am now is we have a lot of very talented painters in our group. Nick, Brandon, they're all very Chris Cook, Chris Luke. They're both very, very good. All those people are really good. So I don't. Well, Brad, he doesn't play Legion yet, but like, pretty much everybody who plays this game but me in this area paints phenomenally. Spencer's guys look great. And I'm just kind of like, or Michael.
Yep.
He comes up. He's got great looking guys, and I'm just like, well, I put the blue on them, and since they're stormtroopers, I gave them black boots and a black gun. That's only 2 colors though, so I'm gonna give them a little red stripe. That's nice.
Well, and I think with some coaching, I think if I sat you down one of these weekends after Northeast Open, because we're too busy now.
Sure.
If I sat you down, I could show you how to paint with them, and I think you could. I think you could blast through some Rebels, and I think you'd be very happy.
Yeah, that's the goal is like I've got a lot of gray army things on my shelf, but if I could at least have all my Legion stuff done, that'd be cool. I'm kind of just biding my time until the Rebel veterans come out because I like to do that Hoth army I keep griping about. So I'm just kind of like. Well, if also I gotta see if I can even get these paints right. Like it's like because they're hard to find right now because everyone wants them. They're the hot thing. So that's another whole bag of problems for paint. But yeah, I'm down. I'm down to clown. I'll clown it up.
Yeah. So I would recommend for those of you out there, figure out what you want to paint. If it's Rebels, and just pick a few colors. They're a little expensive. They're about $8 a pot, and pick a few colors, go out, test them out, see how you like them. What I did was I used their spray can as well for the one that's I forgot what it's called now.
I heard you have to use their special
I don't know
primer for it, right?
I haven't tried anything else yet. I did use theirs though, and it works beautifully. So I would assume they have 2 paints, one's like a gray and one's like an off-white, and they're specifically designed for the contrast paints. I can't tell you right now if that's Bowl or not. I don't know. I haven't tried it on another one. I could tell you it works beautifully on this one, so I haven't had any problems with it. They don't like water. Keep water away from them, or if you're cleaning your brush, make sure you dry it enough.
Yeah,
they're like freaking mogwais, and so 1 minute it's all nice and fun, you get some water on it and it's a gremlin, so be careful. Yeah, so that's contrast paints. I'll probably have more about that as I move through using them and stuff.
Sure,
I do
sure.
really enjoy them. The other thing is, let's see, what else? Anything else going on?
Not for this cast, I don't think.
Not for this cast. He's holding out on us, folks.
Well, I got a couple. There was a Good Dice article that was released.
Oh, let's cover all that. We got plenty of time. So,
Okay.
So let's, Evan, tell us what that was about.
So, the Master of Numbers. I don't know his real name. I just know his tag.
Master of Numbers.
Released more or less a scientific study of dice, of X-wing dice. So more or less, what you could take away from that on Legion is share dice. that's my answer.
Well, break it down for us. What was the whole thing
All right.
about?
So there's actually a few big points, about five or seven that he made here. Let me pull it up.
So what we're talking about is the fact that the dice from FFG straight out of the box are not all
they are not all fair.
even.
No, they are not. So let me get the okay. Here we go. So you can more or likely replace anything I say with X-wing here with Legion. I'm just gonna read. He had like top 7 points that he got out of all of his research, and it's actually on the Fly Better Squadron podcast, formerly known as Minoc. It's a couple other places. The guy, the Master of Numbers, his name's Andrew. I'm gonna kill your last name here, man. Laura Zen, Laurt.
Loritzen.
There it is. So he did. If you look through his document, it's kind of nuts. Either two things that happened: he actually did all this, recorded it, or he made it all up. Either way, the amount of work he did to do that would just be insane alone. So it's worth reading through. But the top points are: 1, only a small percentage of Legion Legion/X-wing dice are statistically fair. The bias is inherent in the manufacturing method of most mass-produced consumer dice. There is no overall tend to the direction of the bias. Each die gets wrapped slightly differently. The typical deviation is expected distribution is between 1% and 2.5%, but I found deviations as high as 5.6% in a test set of 30 dice. These variations are large enough to meaningfully affect the outcome of an X-wing game. Players can plausibly find and choose dice that are biased to give them a competitive advantage. Players should start routinely sharing fixed-sized dice pools, 5 red, 5 green, to maximize the effect of the game outcomes at higher levels of competition. So what you can take away from that is this has kind of been a known thing and a problem I had, that all FFG makes their dice specifically for them. Fine. If you want to do that, cool. But they're not mass produced. Like, you can go to Chessex and buy a clear die and you can see through that there's no bubbles, right? The clear dice have to be made at a higher quality than opaque dice, because opaque dice you can hide bubbles and you can like pour quality in them. That's why sometimes clear dice are more expensive, because they're if you can't see any bubbles, they're good. That's why when X-wing released like championship dice, you could see bubbles in them when they were clear. They didn't even like really put the extra effort in. I don't know how it is, but so bubbles, whether or not that affects the die roll in an overall over a number of rolls, right? So the same thing can be said for Legion dice, is that there's going to be manufacturing defects in them. So what bothers me about it is it's totally legal and probably 100%, like they wouldn't care if you bought 100 packs of Legion dice, salt tested them all. Salting is you fill a cup half full of water, half full of salt, you drop the die in and it floats, and then you flick it. And then if it keeps going to a random different side, that means your die is random. But if it keeps going to one side because it's weighted incorrectly, like a bubble, for example, would do that, that shows that the die is more likely to go to that side. That sounds nuts and insane, but there's a lot of good YouTube videos more about, like, more people care about it for the Dungeons and Dragons characters, right? But I'm sure people salt their dice for events. I tried it once and my fingers burned because that water is just like half salt water. I had separated them and then I needed more dice than I had. So I mixed them all together and all my work got wasted anyway, so I never did it again. This was a long time ago for X-wing. But you can buy 100 packs of Legion dice, let's say, salt them all, take the best dice, and give yourself a competitive advantage, right? Because those dice just roll better. Like, and that's kind of nuts.
I'd like to to make this clear, ladies and gentlemen and children at home, this is what we call cheating.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's like legal cheating. That's what it's kind of nuts. So it's like you can do that. So for the guy who shows up, he just has the core set dice. Really, in Legion, you want the core set dice and probably one more set, and that's if you have any shots bigger than that, yikes, right? But that's if someone's going to that work, it's almost as close to that's one step above baking, right? Because at that point you can just bake them. This was a huge thing in like GW games where people would bake D6s to get certain rolls, and that's why when you go to the big GW events, they go, "Hey, congratulations, you won these special dice, and you have to use these." Right? Like that's awesome. Like that'd be a great prize for top 8 at Fantasy Flight. If you're listening, that's a really good idea. Make special dice and just give them to the top 8 and make them use them.
We have no idea if they do or not.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they did. But
Legion.
or any competitive game, when they get to a top level, they go, "Hey, congratulations, you guys just won a free pack of dice. Here, use these." Right?
Yeah.
So more or less, what the article said is to sum up is share dice when able, because that kills that. It gets rid of that. Oh man, your dice are just hot. Like that discussion ends there because you're both sharing the same dice pool.
Yep.
And that can it can't super matter, but just makes it fair, right? Like it's, you know what, man? Like I played a game of X-Wing today with Jay. He was using the app, which he was using because he's notoriously just has some really lousy. He has like pretty average Legion rolls, pretty under X-Wing rolls. I've never seen so many blanks on attack before.
So we talked about this today. The article came out. I read it. I was like, my dice are bad. That's the problem. And so I loaded up the app.
And then 3 blanks first shot, next shot 3 blanks, next shot 1 hit, 2 blanks. I'm like, geez. But my dice on the flip side were just on fire, right? I was flying a little droid swarm. He was flying a couple X-Wings and a Falcon. But so to that point, it used to be in FFG X-Wing rules in 1.0, you could demand to share. Like, so that mattered with templates because some templates are a little bit smaller than others. So you get wiggle room. It's called advantage templates.
Yep.
And those are official, so that sucks. But you could share templates and you can share dice. Be like, hey, I want to share all the utensils. That way there's no, I didn't have extra Y, right?
Yep.
And in the new rules, I think with Legion 2, it's like you can ask to share.
Yep.
I don't know if
But you're not forced.
Yeah, you're not forced. But I think at a top table of the event, if you're going in, and even if it's Jay and I are playing, we make the top, I'd say like, hey man, let's just share dice.
Yeah.
Like that. Not that I don't trust Jay at all. It's just, it keeps it, there's no, man, my dice were just cold. I rolled all these white dice, didn't get a single paint. Right. It just, hey man, he's rolling the same ones I am. It just,
I'll say in the bunch of instances where I've done that with people, it takes that, because you always have those people that are like, oh, my dice, but it takes that completely away when you're using the same dice.
you just, like, it happens. It's just
right,
bell curve, right?
Because on a defensive roll, they can roll, and then you roll the same dice for your defensive roll, and you just roll all paint, and you're like, yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, it just happens, man. Like it takes out that like, hey, your dice are loaded, right? Like, nah, man, we're using the same dice. So I suggest sharing dice. I think it just keeps that. Plus, there's not 2 sets of dice flying around. Yep. Like, if I could share all utensils for a lot of these games, I just would. It's just easier. But so if you get a chance, that's on the Fly Better podcast, formerly Minoc.
I think it's everywhere now.
I
saw it in the Legion Facebook groups.
Or just anywhere you go, you probably find this guy's article. Really good, worth a read, just to see the amount of work he put into this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But even a 5% variance is that's pretty big. It doesn't sound big, but considering how many times you roll dice a game for a whole day of playing games, that can be one win. That can be one more dead unit. That can be anything,
So, all right, Evan.
Yes.
What's the Barnes and Noble conundrum?
Okay. All right. Well, here's another one that if this would matter for Legion more if it wasn't the downed ATST, right? If this was Bossk Sabine, I'm going to explain what I'm talking about here. Keep in mind, I'm going to talk in X-Wing ships here, but think about the same thing about the ships as Bossk Sabine and not the downed ATST that we didn't get this month. So, all right, FFG said X-Wing Wave 4 coming out hot to your shelves like last month. I don't remember the date, 25th maybe. 25th rolls up. Whoops, indefinitely delayed, said our store. And I'm like, uh-oh, must be them tariffs, I guess. or right, I don't know. I've heard bad paint, tariffs, whatever.
Could be anything.
Could be anything. But then it pops up that Australia got them. So they, I think a guy named Harry Nick has a good YouTube channel about X-Wing. He unboxed them all. And so the problem with that is I'm not so upset that I didn't get them yet. Because, right, we tend to get stuff early anyway. So it's fair that the world gets to get something before we do for once. But they don't have points yet. So they can't even use these things. So you bought and what happened was, so not only did they sell them early, but then FFG released, hey, pull them back off the shelf. So some people bought them fine, legally, right? And then the rest got yanked. So you bought a product you can't even use, right? So that's one thing. That's one problem I have with this. They also got the downed ATST early. But again, imagine Sabine and Bosk, you not having access to these two cool units, not something that's kind of like, well, whatever. So, all right. So that happens. They put a new date of July 11th. Okay. Then the article for the Resistance transport comes out. It says June 6th. Well, that was a week or two ago. And then what else happens? Barnes & Noble gets them and sells them right now. So you can walk into Barnes & Noble and buy Wave 4. So it's the new Silencer, the Naboo fighter, the Hyena bomber, the B-Wing that actually rotates cockpit and everything, and the Decimator. Problem with that, again, no points, but your local game store doesn't get them until the 11th. And where a lot of the breakdown happened,
or isn't allowed to release them till the 11th.
Correct, one of the two, right? I don't know, but that's I walked in, I was with my dad for Father's Day, and I heard they got them early. You want to get a coffee? I'm like, cool, let's go there. So I bought 2 Hyena bombers because I want to get reps with them. I can go and get them, and I want to get reps in before Nova, because Nova's doing best of faction prizes. I can't win Nova, but I could sure probably win a best of faction prize. But anyway, so I buy them, and then I look online, and somebody in the community posted like, hey man, remember, I know Barnes & Noble has them, but please shop at your friendly local game store first to give them the business. What he said came from the right place, I believe. I don't think he said it to do anything like that. But of course, the community just goes nuts, right? So they start shaming people for buying them at Barnes & Noble. And that's really crappy, all right? Because again, imagine Sabine and Bosk is at Barnes & Noble. Your local store doesn't have them for a month. But with Legion, you can just play it out of the box, right? You don't need an app. So you get shamed for buying this and not at another store. I would support my local game store. I'm not using friendly because they're not super friendly toward a lot of the FFG stuff. But they don't really want to support us. And that's kind of like where our whole economy is supposed to work, right? I give money to places that I feel deserve my money in the capitalist system, right? Like, so
you vote with your dollars.
Correct. And you know what? Barnes & Noble is how I even got into this game. I was looking for the OG Thrawn books, and I wandered into the game section. I saw a starter for X-Wing. I was with my friends. I'm like, hey, let's split this. This looks like fun. And then we started playing it. I'm like, oh my God, I love this game.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I get supporting your local store, blah, 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 to keep them. But here's where I argue that point. We are supporting our local game store in other ways, right?
Yeah, I sure do buy, like...
Gosh, I forgot there was one release. Maybe it was Veer's Snow Troopers. I don't really remember, but it was one of them where Amazon had it, but our local store didn't. Like, they just didn't have it. And I was like, okay, Amazon it is. And I got it. Like, I think the store was going to release it on Thursday, and I could have had it in my hands on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we had a tournament on Saturday, and I wanted to use them. So like, I did it. I mean, listen, it's your money, man. Like, you spend it however you want to spend it. What I think that guy was trying to get at is we have to support our local stores because otherwise there won't be local stores to support. But I don't think that's the case. I think that they have other things that they're selling. You know your store better than anybody else. So if you feel like your store absolutely needs your money to keep going, then keep spending money there. But if you feel like they're going to be okay if you go get 1 or 2 ships or units or whatever you want from Barnes & Noble, then just do what you want. It's your money.
Yeah, it just kind of blew my mind how people really turned on other people who got these. Because I got them. I don't know points yet, but I'm going to underbuild them and just get some reps in with them, right? Yeah. And that, because I want to do well at Nova with the CIS. And I know it sounds like I'm like just like making whatever.
Dude, I don't think you need to explain it to anybody.
I don't know. I don't know why I get
you
so.
earned that money. You worked hard for that money. A store, I mean, technically it was local to you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a big store. I understand. Had what you wanted. You bought it. That is how the free economy works. I'm sorry, but that's how it works.
No, it's and that's correct, right? Like it just bummed me out because if my local store really cared about my game, like, and they really did a whole lot for me, I probably would have been like, okay, you know what? I know they're there, but I got them pre-ordered because I really like them. I'll wait. But at this point, I don't think they don't really care about my game, so I don't really feel obligated to buy from them.
Yeah, it's always I think with any local store, right? It's always this eternal like tug of war between them supporting the game, you supporting them. Like in reality, playing games in a store in the short term doesn't earn stores money, so therefore they don't value it. It does in the long term, but in the short term it doesn't, and therefore they undervalue having, even if you're only going to have 4 people having a tournament, they undervalue the power of that.
Yeah, it just kind of like, like I saw like people really lashing out at this, and just kind of I left a bad taste in my mouth because
I get it.
Then I got a little defensive, but I also
You don't need to be.
I don't know why I was just really mad because Barnes and Noble's really, they don't particularly care if I'm there or not, right? Like, but every time I go in, I don't feel like bad for buying X-Wing stuff at there, but sometimes I do at my local game store because a lot of GW guys there, and we get some side comments about our game. So like it just like it kind of just got me, it took me the wrong way because I don't know. I'm making a lot of like defensive things here, but it just bummed me out that the community kind of split so hard there.
Because sometimes these communities can become elitist. And they think that they're better because they did something a certain way, whether it's buy at the local store, whether it's play a certain list, whether it's do X, Y, and Z. They become elitist, and then they make you feel bad because you just decided to do something different. And thank God Legion isn't there right now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful community. I love the Legion community, and I guess maybe we just use this as a warning sign to those of you out there playing Legion. Dude, buy it wherever you want. Like, whatever makes you happy.
That's fair.
We know you support your local store because you probably went and got your paints there, or you went and got your brush there, or if they don't, you buy comics there, or whatever it is. We know you support them. We support our local store, but we're free. We're free to do whatever we want. We're free to buy what we want, when we want, where we want, and no one's taking that freedom away from me, Evan.
That's fair. I don't think the X-Men community is bad, but when somebody posts in any community something that can be taken into extremes, there'll be groups that split into extremes for that particular viewpoint.
Dude, welcome to our country.
Yeah, welcome to like any public forum. So, I just wanted to, I don't know what I would.
You just needed to get that off your chest.
Yeah, it just kind of bummed me out because it's easy to dump on somebody when you're not that person.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway.
Okay, well, we're going to end it there, and I didn't forget, but we will be I will announce the winners of the giveaway this week. I'll announce it this week.
Okay, yeah, we've had a couple people ask.
Yeah. And I'll put it up on our website under the giveaway tab. I'll list the winners in the next couple days.
Okay, cool.
So, all right, everybody, we're a little salty on this cast. I'm sure I'll come up with a fun name for it. And, I mean, we are in the Salt City, so maybe that's the name of it.
Womp.
And so everybody, I know this was a little bit darker than I think we initially intended, a little saltier, but you know what? Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes
you don't.
Yeah. No, sometimes you got to let it out, and I think the only way to make changes in the community is by expressing our concerns with the community, as long as that expression is constructive and comes with answers or suggestions for answers to the solution, to come up with a solution, not just posing a problem and bitching
this
about
sucks,
it.
Fix it. How do you want us to fix it? I don't know. Fix it.
Right.
Like that.
And so I hope, even though we were pretty salty, that we came up with some answers for you. If you feel like we didn't, give us drop us a line.
Yeah,
Let
please
us know.
feel free to reach out to any of us. We have one mailbox,
The Fifth Trooper Podcast at gmail.com.
or Jay or I both take messages over.
I think I'm going
and-
to change that soon.
Okay.
I think it's going to be contact at the Fifth Trooper.
Yeah, that sounds better.
I just got that.
But we'll, we feel free to reach out to any of us. We're always happy to talk to you.
Yeah, and if I don't like what you said, I'll ignore you.
Perfect. Slide into our DMs, whatever.
No, listen, we're open to critiques and we're open to thoughts on these topics. And yeah, hit us up. Let us know.
And also, it just stinks that we haven't had a news article lately.
And yeah, maybe that's why
Or
we're
a
really
real
salty.
news article.
Maybe we're Johnson. We're like tweaking here.
Yeah, there's no new news.
No.
Clone Wars is pretty far away. Even everything that's coming out soon's been already kind of like Rebel Veterans, Shore Troopers. By the time they come out, I'll already be bored of them. I don't know, that's because I've been waiting for them for so long.
I forgot about him, to be honest. Somebody said something about dewbacks the other day. I go, what the hell's a dewback, man?
A who back?
A what? What is that? Oh, yeah, that was the giant
I don't
lizard.
know about that.
But all right, everybody, thanks for listening to us be salty, and join us next week.
Yes, sir. Everyone stay rad.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.